28th of April, and it's a little bit cooler today, and I'm in my hallway and it is significantly cooler in here, so I'm keeping my jacket on whilst we start. I might get to the point where I can take it off if I get a little bit warmer. So we're going to work through from our ankles and our adductors and our hips, with a little bit of back and shoulders thrown in today. So I can see a few bubbles arriving, so people are obviously here, which is good. Nice to see everybody. So you'll have to bear with me because I'm going to have to turn the camera. I'm using my stairs because we're going to start with our ankles, and then hopefully I'll swizzle the camera around, and then we'll do some work away from our desk. So as ever, the golden rule is keep moving. So don't sit still for long periods of time, whether that's because you're working or you're sitting watching television. So sitting still in the same position, which is probably not going to be a position that's encouraging us to sit with good posture, is not good for us. So keep moving often. Somebody just called me, that's not good, is it? Just cancelled that. So what we're going to start with is some ankle stretches using the stairs. If you haven't got stairs in your house, then anything that raises your foot up so you can drop your heel down, make sure that it's a solid base. So you might have a step block or something like that, but make sure it's not going to slip. Now when I stand up, I'm going to disappear. Hopefully you're still going to be able to hear me, but I'm going to disappear from view, which is not always a bad thing, I hear you say. So to start off with, we're working on ankle mobility. So one foot, with the ball of your foot just fastened onto the step, and then we're just going to drop the heel down and then reach the heel up. We did these yesterday, but I did them on the floor, and you can get a deeper stretch like this. So this is going to stretch through your calf as well as working on your ankle mobility, and you're probably going to be able to get your heel down a little bit lower than me, because as ever my calves are quite tight and my ankle mobility is not brilliant. So this is actually really useful for me. And then we'll take it to the other side. Oh, this one feels a bit tighter actually. So we're working on mobility, so we want to keep moving through the joint. I know I say quite regularly that everything that we do, whether it's exercise, whether it's a stretch, starts from the base. So our feet typically are our base. We're seated, clearly our bottom is our base, but for our ankle mobility and our foot mobility, starting there is a good place to start. If we've got tight ankles, then it can cause problems all the way up through your chain. So if you've got tight ankles, it can cause problems in your knees and your hips and your lower back, etc. So working through our ankles is a good place to start, and often it's one we forget. To take that into an Achilles stretch, rather than keeping your leg straight, if you bend your knee slightly and drop your heel and then lift up, then you should feel that moves into this part of your calf rather than in the body of the calf muscle, which is your Achilles tendon there. So bend your knee, and that's a really good way of strengthening and stretching your Achilles. So if anybody's got any problems with their Achilles, then as long as you haven't got any real pain, then working through that movement is a good way of working that out. So I'm just going to swizzle you around a little bit. I'm going to move on to the mat. So we're going to keep working on our ankle flexibility as we go through all of this. but this one is a favourite of mine. It's a great all over body stretch, a fairly basic yoga move, and you might know it as downward dog. So what we're going to do, and this is where we can access our upper back as well. So your hands are flat on the floor, fingers nice and spread. Knees, start with your knees on the floor and tuck your toes under. And then we're going to push up through our hips and stretch back, pushing your hands into the floor. Now you're aiming to stick your bottom up in the air and you're trying to get your heels on the floor. Now, I cannot do that because my hamstrings and my calves are not that flexible, but you go as low as you can go. The most important thing is that as you push back through your arms and you keep that back nice and flat. So we don't want the back arching, and that your legs are straight, and you go as far back as you can, but holding that position. I can feel that in my upper back, which is lovely. Think of squashing your shoulder blades onto your back chest, lifting up through your hips, and then bring that one back down. And that should feel like you've stretched the whole of your body. I think that's a really good one that we can all do more regularly. Right, so working on our ankle flexibility itself again, just sitting back, you can see my toes underneath, tucked underneath there. Sitting back on your heels with your toes tucked underneath helps stretch through the bottom of your foot, and that's the start of your ankle flexibility. So we're going to keep that move there, and this one, what we're then going to do, so put your hands on the floor, and again try and stretch up and put your heels on the floor to stretch through your calves, and then sit back down. So we're doing this, we're not holding the stretch because we're aiming for mobility. So we're going to lean forward and see. So it's a bit like downward dog, but you're not in as elongated a position. And we're starting sitting on our heels. And actually, just rolling through the toes whilst you're sitting on your heels there, that helps with stretching through the bottom of your foot. And we'll do one more of these. And believe it or not, I'm actually getting my heels a bit closer to the floor now, which is a miracle in itself. Okay, so another one to work on ankle mobility, and this one's also going to stretch through the inside of your thigh, your adductors. So you're going to kneel down, and there's a couple of ways of doing this one. The further away your foot is from that heel, then the more you're going to stretch on the inside of your thigh, which is fine, and we'll do that in a second. The closer your foot to your knee, the more you're going to work on your ankle flexibility, because what we're going to do is lean forwards into that foot there. So we're aiming at pushing that knee to flex through the ankle. Now for that to happen, you have to use your glutes, the big muscles in your bum. And what we're aiming to do, forgive me for feeling my bottom, but you want to make sure that both glutes are switched on. And when I say switched on, I mean working. So your bottom shouldn't be floppy, it should be working quite hard. So this is like, gosh, there's so many birds with one stone that you can kill with this particular exercise, because you're stretching through your inner thigh, you're working through your ankle mobility, and you're working your butt all at the same time. So as you move forward, think of using this bum muscle to push through your ankle, trying to keep your heel flat on the floor. So do this a few times. with controlled moves. And then if you take your foot a little bit further away, so now it's less about the ankle and more about the stretch on your inner thigh. Don't let your bottom get lazy. Keep your chest up so we're not flexing forwards. We don't want this to happen. All right, so we stay nice and tall and keep that pelvis tilted under. So we don't want an arch in the back. Okay, let's do the other way. So we're kneeling down. Exactly the same on this side. So the closer to our knee that heel is, the more we're working on that ankle flexibility. And it's interesting because this ankle is more flexible than my right one. And my right side is the side where I have more of my injury problems. That cannot be a coincidence, Karen. So again, butt switched on. I'm pushing with my right butt, working through that ankle, heel on the floor. And let's take it into the adductor more. So move your foot further away. If you've got socks on like I have and you're on a slippy floor, make sure you don't slip. Keep that bottom working and your hips tilted under. Okay, nicely done. Let me check what was the next one I was going to do because my iPad had closed itself off. We're going to do downward dog one more time, just to stretch through the hips again in a different plane. It's often a nice one to come back to if you've done some stretching, just to get everything else stretched out. Push back through the arms, shoulder blades on the back chest, lift up through the hips, heels towards the floor. I do like that stretch. And then finally, just a little bit of a twist for our upper back. Janet, if you're watching and you don't want to lie down, you can do this in a chair. You can just do the back twist. We're going to do the crocodile stretch for those of you that are quite happy to lie on your back. So I'm using a foam roller to support my knee. You can use a rolled up towel or a cushion or even a block. It's just so that you get more of a twist through your spine and you've got something to lean your leg on. So we're going to lie on our side with that top leg reaching forwards and resting on your block. Your arms are your crocodile mouth. So you can either do this with a hand behind your head, a bit like we do the elephant ears, and we're going to stretch the elbow out round towards the floor. Oh, my back just clunked. Or you can do it with straight arms. I can't actually do this one with straight arms in the space that I've got. So, but the idea is that you move your straight arm towards the floor. So again, we're getting a nice twist through the whole of the spine. Nice controlled movements. And then we'll do the same on the other side. So I'll turn around this way and you can still see me. So on one side, this bottom leg slightly bent, supporting leg resting on your support. If you're doing straight arms, that's the move that you're doing. You obviously need enough space. If you're doing bent arms, so it's the same move, take that elbow out towards the floor, in controlled moves, and you should get movement through the whole of your spine. Keep that knee in contact with the support, and that just helps engage the lower half of your back, and then work hard through the upper part of your back with that shoulder blade on your back chest so that you stretch and mobilise in between your shoulder blades. Okay, you get the idea. So Don't forget those ankles, those feet, they're quite important. Everything starts with them. I hope my socks are clean. And hopefully you feel a little bit more stretched through your back and shoulders as well. So tomorrow we will do another Movement Not Miracle session at 12 o'clock. For those of you that are part of the Eat, Move, Be Happy peer support group, that's easy for me to say, then post on there what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see us cover more of, and how you're getting on with your stretching, whether it's making a difference. It is really, really good to hear how you're getting on. It's lovely to hear from people. If you would like to find out a little bit more about Eat, Move, Be Happy and how that might help you with your health and your fitness and your eating choices, then check out the website www.eatmovebehappy.com. There are 3 different subscription levels. You can look at moving better and working out with us, and workout plans and monthly challenges. There's Eat Better, which looks at your relationship with food and healthy eating choices. And there's also the mental health and the Learn and Explore series about all things well-being, and just some generally very interesting stuff on there. So have a little look and let us know what you think. Enjoy your Tuesday. Sun's gone in a bit. It's supposed to be raining this evening, which I'm quite pleased about because we need some water for the fields. I need the grass to grow for my sheep. So stay warm, stay dry, stay well, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining in. Bye guys.